Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet. Finally, after a late start, welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where today you get an extra healthy side helping of rhubarb pie because that's my favorite pie, and I'm happy today because I'm back. Thank you,
Yay!
Hammer. Thank you. Really appreciate it. For those that don't know, my laptop took a dump. It was just barely working when it did work, and which was not often. And our buddy Hammer hooked me up with a replacement. It's not a new one, but it'll do.
Hey, yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it got me back on the internet. Now I haven't got everything set up yet to edit my videos. I still got some programs to get across and transfer from the other one. So I'm going to take an extra week before I even attempt to do Redneck Trek because I've got to test, see how the games are going to do. And I can't use the program anymore that I used to use to record because that was only for the video card that I had on the old laptop. And I don't have that kind of video card on this one. So going to be a little testing and going on, but hopefully we'll be back with Redneck Trek next week, next Sunday. But I'm back online, and that makes me happy. With me today, as you can see, is Maddie. Say hello, Maddie.
Hey, hello there, everybody.
Not like they didn't know you were here because thank you, Maddie, for letting everybody know. We were literally getting ready to hit the go live button when they knocked on the back door and said, your power's going out for about 15 minutes. We're sorry.
Right? Yeah, I heard you go. Well, I make my living on YouTube, so
Yeah, can we hurry?
yeah,
Like, and like I was telling you, the power was only out for about 5 minutes, but it took forever for my internet to come back up. I'm like, come on now, let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. That always takes the longest to go. Oh, right, I'm supposed to be working now. How do we do this again?
Oh, geez. But yeah, I've actually been enjoying myself. I'm one of those weird people because I've been building computers almost since there have been computers or home computers,
Mm-hmm.
And so I enjoy the starting out with something, a fresh slate.
Yeah,
I enjoy that part of it, getting the programs on it and all that stuff. I really enjoyed that. So I've been having a lot of fun, actually. Except for when it come to getting my games back on Steam. I didn't realize what size this hard drive was when I first looked at it.
mm-hmm.
My eyes seen a bigger number than there actually was.
Ooh,
And this hard drive's actually a seventh the size of the hard drive I had before.
whoops.
It's like just a little over 100 gig, which today is small.
Yeah,
I can remember back in the day when I first started messing with computers, that would have been, you couldn't even imagine a hard drive that big. I think my first hard drive was like measured in megabytes, not gigabytes.
yeah.
But I have an external, which is a terabyte, a little over a terabyte actually. And so I figured out how to install my Steam games on the external. The one that got me is I went to install. I installed a couple of the games and they installed fine. I went to install Arc and it says you don't have enough room. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's 60 gigabytes still left. What are you talking about? It wanted 140 gigabytes to install. Now, once it's done, that much isn't on your computer, but that's what it needs to install.
Right,
I'm like, this whole hard drive isn't that big.
right.
So I slept on it. This was late last night. I slept on it and I said, there's got to be a way to install them to that external. So, yeah, figured it out and been doing that. I've yet to get my copy of Vegas yet on here. I'm going to do that a little bit later this afternoon. My copy of Vegas isn't exactly legal.
No,
As
you
in,
have
as
a
in,
pirated copy?
maybe. I can't afford to pay what they want for that thing. Are you kidding me?
I know, right?
So yeah, I've got to get that because if you know anything about pirated copy, that means that you've got to have something like what is the program I got here? Um, you've got to have something like the program I have is and it's not showing up for some stupid reason. But anyway, a program that will read those files
Yeah.
and will recognize it as a disk drive, even though it's not a disk drive.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of those programs at the moment, but you've got to be able to have one of those to install it, and I've yet to reinstall that program on my computer, so I'll do that this afternoon.
Yeah. Johnny Blaze, blood, no felonies on stream.
Yeah, well, doggone, if they want to hunt me down because I've got an illegal copy of Vegas, I guess I'll hide all the illegal copies of games I got too.
We don't talk about those.
Hey, I use it to see if I even like a game. I'll be daggum if I'm going to pay $60 to $100 for a game if I don't even know if I like it.
Right?
If I like it, I'll download it legally.
Yeah.
Every time. I mean, I do. But with the Vegas thing, one of our mutual acquaintances on YouTube hit me up on Twitter one day and said, "Hey, would you like this?" And back then, I was using Windows Movie Maker. That's all I had. So, yeah, hook me up.
So I went from Windows Movie Maker to I went online and did my own looking, and I found something called VSDC Editor, and it was free, so I didn't have to go through unscrupulous means in order to obtain the thing. And you can do a lot of stuff on it. It doesn't take up much resources when it's rendering. Actually, it renders stuff pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it's really good, and they keep adding to it. It's kind of like open source. You can do a lot with the free stuff, and in order to get the paid copy, it's only like $20-25.
Well, I did try a free one that's out there, DaVinci, DaVinci Resolve, which has got everything on it that Vegas does. But that DaVinci is so resource intensive, my laptop wouldn't even hardly run it. Just almost would not run it at all. It's very resource intensive for some reason. So I tried every way I could to do it free, without resorting to unscrupulous means. And yes, Jamil Joseph, actually, that's exactly what I use, the Damon Tools Lite. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, one of the problems I'm going to have in making Redneck Trek is I've got to find a game recorder, that'll record your screen. Mm-hmm. And I've got to find one that's not choppy, and not too resource intensive.
Yeah.
Because I could use OBS, but I tried that before, if you all remember, and the gameplay come out a little choppy in places.
Yeah.
Because it's just very resource intensive.
XSplit isn't much better. As a matter of fact, it's worse.
Well, I was looking at XSplit, but here's what I'm going to try. And I didn't know this, that Windows 10 actually comes with its very own free recorder.
Mm-hmm. Didn't
know that. So I'm going to give it a shot, see if it works. And go from there. There are some free, and I have to go with free options right now, folks. I just don't have the money for anything. We just come out of Christmas. My wife and I are not rich people by any means. We just bought Christmas for 10 grandkids. And if that won't break you, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Ooh.
But I'm back. No, W.R. Croston, Hammer didn't do something evil again. He done something very good. He sent me a replacement laptop. So that's how I'm back online now. All he asked in return is that once I get everything off my old one that I want off of it, that I ship that back to him so he can refurbish it and sell it. So yeah, I thought that was a good deal.
Yeah.
This isn't like an out of the park laptop. It's about like what I had, power wise and so forth. But it will get me back online, and hopefully I have a plan that in the next year I'm going to save a little money here, save a little money there, try to save it up, and a year from now maybe be able to afford myself a good gaming desktop setup. I want to go back to a desktop rather than a
Yeah.
laptop, and I've figured out how to do it and still sit in my recliner. So yeah, he's awesome, and it's just I can't say thank you enough. Just make sure you pay your while you're saving. Yeah, well, yeah, pay my rent exactly. That's the problem. We've got bills to pay like everybody else. We got to keep the lights on, got to keep the internet going, got to keep the gas flowing so I can have heat and a roof over my head with rent. And so, I only work part time, and what little money I make off of YouTube here, by the end of the month, just like I'm sure most of you, we're broke.
Yeah.
We're broke. Part of what I have always called the working poor. You're working, you're trying to do it on your own, but you just barely make it.
Yeah. We got to rob Peter to pay Paul and hope Nancy don't notice.
Yep, been there lots of times. Okay, I've got these bills to pay. Which one's the most important? Well, better pay the rent because that keeps the roof over the head.
Mm-hmm.
And better pay the gas because it's wintertime, and in Indiana you need that heat.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of them might have to go a month or so. Been there lots of times.
Oh yeah, we've been there. We're there now, even though we weren't for a few months. But when the Band-Aid Brigade can't fix the truck for the first time correctly, and he's 3 weeks, 3 times in the shop, and 3 times with breakdown pay, which is a fraction of what he could have made, we're still trying to catch up from that. And then you have the holidays coming up, and no freight really moves on Christmas or New Year. So those were 2 days that really nothing was happening. So yeah.
Yeah. And like I was telling you just before we went live, one of the good things that's come out of my old laptop taking a dump. And I've had this thing for about 5 years. And I mean, the case has been busted. It's been dumped by my daughter's dog, and it's a wonder it lasted this long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew it was only a matter of time when I noticed I wasn't hearing the fans kick on anymore. So, if you've ever used a laptop, the fans are especially important on a laptop because it will get hot in a hurry and then it shuts off.
Yep.
And so I knew it wasn't long for this world, but I was just hoping to be able to get to where I could do something else before it dumped. But one good thing that come out of is it did spur me, since the monitor went out on it. I went out to the shed, brought in an old 36-inch TV that I had out there, flat screen TV, because my wife doesn't like a TV in the front room. And that's a whole nother story. She just doesn't like to hear it in the background because she just knows I'm going to watch football and she doesn't like football. And she's probably right. But anyway, it spurred me to bring this thing in. And now that I have the new laptop, I'm able to set it up as dual monitors, which I've never done before since experience. If I get a little quiet for a second, is because I'm trying to think, because the way that it's set up, I have to move my cursor all the way to the right of the laptop screen to get on the TV screen. but the TV is actually to the left. So it's counterintuitive to what's actually here. But the way that I'm set up, I don't have any choice. But it's cool. I've got one monitor set on the YouTube watch page. I got the other monitor set to the StreamYard page, and I can put things on different. I've never had that before. This might be old school, old hat to a lot of you people, but it's new to me. I like it.
Yeah, the first time I did the dual monitor thing was back at the Roach Trap because I had an old monitor I wasn't using, so I plugged it up to the beast that at the time Liz had bought me to help me out with my content stuff. And yeah, it's great when you can be doing stuff on one and look at a second monitor and you're like, oh, this is so cool. I can actually read the chat and game at the same time.
Faithless says I can switch the positions in display. In the display, I'll check that out after the stream. Faithless, I wondered. I actually had just got it set up just previous to getting the stream going, and so yeah. Elwin says once you go dual monitors, you'll never want to go back. You're right. I wished I had done this before. This TV's been out in my shed for a year or more, just sitting out there collecting dust. Well, we had it wrapped in an old quilt so that maybe it wouldn't get damaged, but yeah. And Faithless says he runs through. Well, look at you running 3 monitors.
Show off. Always one. There's always one. Dagnabbit.
But yeah, I'm back online. I'm able to stream. And in fact, this week, as I'm looking at my schedule, I should be able to do a full week because I'm off on Thursday. I got to work tomorrow, but I'm off again Thursday. And I'm off this weekend because I worked the last weekend. Me and the other new girl do a rotate. We get the weekends because the other people don't want to work the weekends, but which I don't mind working the weekends. The only hard part is if you work both days of the weekends. And real quick, thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. You would turn dual monitor into a redneck moment. Well, of course, everything is a redneck moment for me because I are one. Not ashamed of it, nor will I ever hide it.
Nope.
Not that I could with my accent, but hey.
Oh my God. I wouldn't know what to do. 2 is enough for me, Faithless, because with my ADD, if I had 3 or more, my eyes wouldn't know where to focus.
Yeah. Well, if you could see me, and I would show you, but the camera doesn't point at me the way things are set up, points kind of across the room. But I'm in my recliner. In front of me and slightly to the right is the TV monitor. And then to the right of that, where I got to turn my head, is the laptop sitting on, and the TV sitting on like a little bedstand kind of table, nightstand that J-Kid made way back in junior high school. So I'm putting it to use. And then above that and higher than that is my laptop sitting on top of a TV tray, the kind of stand-up TV tray that you can watch TV and eat your dinner off of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's quite the setup I got here. And all kinds of wires and doodads everywhere. But it works.
Yep.
It works. Cryptic says he's working on 4, but you got them slant eyes. They're made for that. Looking at love you, Cryptic. Any of you that they're saying Pat says any of you that they're saying they're arrested 103 people for arson in Australia I seen that.
Mm-hmm.
I seen that, and I hope they throw the book at them. That's
too.
ridiculous because I'm pretty sure there's been some loss of life, and no doubt there's been a lot of loss of homes.
Yep. And what I find funny is everybody keeps saying, oh, you guys keep saying, climate change this and climate change that. Well, Australia is burning because of climate change. No, Australia is burning because of arsonists.
Now, was it set to go up because of climate change? I don't know. It's pretty dry.
Yeah.
But it didn't start the fires.
Nope, it didn't.
and I just can't believe that anybody, for any reason, for any political statement or any kind of sickness in the head, would do such a thing. It's just, I don't understand.
Some people just don't have any kind of empathy, or they don't care. So that's the only thing that I can chalk it up to, because who would want to, knowing there's been a drought for the longest time down there, you would definitely have to be some sort of, off kilter individual mentally to go, oh, let me start this fire.
And it's not like, now, don't get me wrong, I've never been to Australia and probably will never get to go there because it would take quite a lot of money to fly to Australia for me. But from what I understand of it, it's not the wettest of climates in Australia, most everywhere you go. So, come on.
Yeah.
Zombie Teddy says, I always imagine your TV has a wire hanger and tinfoil on it for the antenna. I've done that. It doesn't have it now in this age of only digital signals, but back when the over-the-air signals could be captured by regular antennas. Yeah, I've done the wire hanger thing. Of course I have.
So have my parents. That's not exclusive to Rednecks. I was also my parents' remote.
Oh, absolutely. I was. Hey, boy, get up, change that channel.
Right?
That was my dad.
I was also the take the rabbit ears. Go up there, take the rabbit ears. Okay, move that one to the left a little. Okay, now pick it up.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Okay, move away from the TV a little bit. Okay, hold it right there. We got a signal right there. Dad, I can't see the TV. I don't care. I can. Just stay right there.
Because every time you changed the channel, you had to move the rabbit ears for each individual channel. And, and then you'd get the ones where it'd come in clearer just as long as you were holding it.
Yep.
But if you let go of it, it wouldn't come in anymore. Yeah. And so, yeah, Dad was, stand there. That's perfect. Like that.
Yeah.
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 And that was if we even had a knob, because most of the TVs, when I was a kid, we couldn't afford it. It was 1976, folks, before we even had a color TV.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. And most of the TVs we had were used by the time we got them because we were poor. And that meant, because those old style TVs with the knobs you turn the channel with were infamous for breaking the knobs.
Yeah.
So your channel turner was a pair of pliers.
Yep.
So the old days.
Yeah. While your parents got to see it, you got to hear it. So for them it was television, and for you it was a radio show.
But you didn't know. You didn't know any different because that's all you had ever had. So. Yep. I was having a conversation with my granddaughters today. Their school started back, so I had to start back driving them to school in the morning. And we somehow, I don't remember how, got on how when I was a kid there wasn't no cell phones.
Yeah.
Well, Papa, what if you had to call 911 and you were away from the house? Well, you used a payphone then. And in those days, there was a payphone on almost every street corner.
Yeah.
Not like now. But what would you do? Well, what did you have? Well, you had a landline. Well, what's a landline, Papa? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right.
We're to a point where kids don't even know what a landline was. So I explained it to them, and told them how the phones were really heavy because they had these big, huge magnets in them.
Mm-hmm.
And well, why would I have a big magnet in it? Well, to dial the telephone. What do you mean dial the telephone? You didn't have push buttons? No, we had a dial. Well, how did that work? We had an entire conversation on old school telephones before. But I love those conversations. My granddaughters and I, they're both very intelligent. I don't have any stupid grandkids, and I'm not being prejudiced. I honestly believe I do not have one stupid grandkid. They're all very intelligent. And I love those conversations, when they're asking me, what was it like when you were a kid, Papa? Love that. But John Connor, you're right. There was no 911 back then. I remember not when 911 was instituted. And that's right. You dialed 0 for the operator.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if there wasn't a payphone, you died. No, you just went running up to the closest house and knocking on the door and say, "Hey, can you call an ambulance?"
Yep.
That's what you did.
Back then, there were, dare I say it, neighborhoods and communities that watched out for each other.
Dark Alal, you just had to remind me. Says it hit me the other day that there are only about 2 generations who know how to set the clocks on a VCR. Since my power was knocked out and I wanted to get back on as line as quick as possible, every clock in my house is flashing 12:35 at the moment, and it's driving me nuts because I can't stand that. But yeah, I can set a VCR. Blow their minds, tell them about the hand crank phones. And I actually used those, Sean DW. I had an aunt when I would go stay at her house. She lived in an old farmhouse, her and my uncle. And in the kitchen, there was one of those old wooden phones on the wall that you cranked. And in the front room was the old candlestick type phone. And that was what they had. And you cranked the crank, or if you were in the front room, you picked up the candlestick and you jostled the where you hung the the handset to get the operator, because it didn't have a dial on it. You had to get the operator to dial the phone for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Last time, Banza says, I used a payphone 2012. I don't remember the last time I used a payphone. There are still a couple around here, mostly at the gas stations. But I cannot remember the last time I used a payphone. Probably sometime in the 90s.
Yeah, probably. I can't remember either. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was in the late 90s. I was supposed to have an interview. I was bidding on a better job when I worked at FedEx. But at that time, I had got injured and I was off work, injured with my foot. My foot had got smashed in between the boy. That's a whole long story I won't get into right now, but in between 2 containers. And so our phone had been disconnected because we were poor for, at least a month. So I had to drive down to the nearest payphone with my foot sticking out of the driver's window because I had to keep my foot elevated. That was a sight.
Mm.
And call the person I was supposed to interview with them and interview with them over the phone.
Right.
On the cell phone. And I got the position, by the way. When I was able to come back off of being hurt. But yeah, there I was driving. I think it was about 5 blocks with my foot hanging out the driver's window and trying to reach the brake and the accelerator with my right foot.
My mom had something similar like that happen to her because they had, for a short stint, I can't remember if it was because a car was in it. No, they actually had one of the crappy models of the old Ford Mustangs. It didn't look like one, but they kept calling it one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad was trying to do something with it, backed out of the driveway, and the driver's door didn't close all the way. So Dad backed out of the garage and ripped the door off the car. So Mom had to get in this thing with the door in the back seat, her foot on the buzzer for the door so it wouldn't go off. Driving down the highway, going to the dealership. When she got to the dealership, the guy goes, "Miss Rodriguez, where's your driver's door?" She goes, "In the back seat."
Yep. Been there, done that. Back, this would have also probably been in the 90s. I made extra money I don't know if you remember, Maddie. Some you younger ones may not remember this, but in my area, and I think they come out on Monday, they used to come around with a bag with all these store ads and hang it on your mailbox or throw it on the ground next to your mailbox.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had that in your area, but in my area they did.
Mm-hmm.
And every Monday they come out. It was nothing but store ads, just tons of store ads.
Yeah.
Well, they would pay you. I done that. I delivered them, but on a Thursday, there was somebody that had to go around and pick up the ones that were not. That was their deal. That was the only way they could actually hang them on your mailbox, because your mailbox is property of the post office.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to get approval, they had to agree to go around and pick up the ones that weren't brought into the house.
Yep.
So I made money delivering them on Monday and then going around and picking them back up on Thursday. Well, in order to pick them up, I left my driver's door open and drove down the wrong side of the street. So I had to keep one foot on the button of the door thing so the buzzer would shut off and lean out and pick these things up off the ground.
Yeah.
Faithless says they still do it. They don't in my area anymore. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but I made a little extra money doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, there were plenty of opportunities to, make a couple of extra bucks in the 80s and the early 90s. You didn't, it was out there if you looked for it and if you didn't mind doing it. I mean, you couldn't be picky.
Yeah.
My kid wanted me to help him find a job, and the first thing he said, he's 17, and he said that he didn't want to work for American Eagle because he didn't think he could sell clothes to preppies. I said, let me hit you with a little reality check. A, you have no work skills. B, you have no skill set. C, you have no training in anything. So D, you can't be picky.
Nope. I have that conversation now with young people. Look, because so many of them want to go in and think that they can start at the top. No, that's not the way it works, especially if you don't have a college education in any STEM areas.
Yep.
No, you start at the bottom and work your way up. And you hustle, and in order to you're not going to be able to be lazy and give a halfway job to them and expect to move up either. You're going to have to make yourself stand out, because there's going to be other people wanting that position.
Yep.
But they don't get it. You can't. Man, I've had some jobs. Oh Lord. I've cleaned toilets. I've flipped burgers. I've washed dishes. I worked as a hod carrier, for a brick company. And if you don't know what a hod carrier is, my job was just to run wheelbarrows full of cement back and forth to keep the bricklayers, supplied with mortar. And that's what I did for 8-10 hours a day. Just wheelbarrow. And oh boy, wheelbarrows full of cement is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy. And those bricks are heavy. I also had to keep them supplied in bricks. And I've done all kinds of stuff. Heck, I've hauled hay for $2 an hour.
Yeah. My first job was working in a convenience store. I did that mostly. I delivered pizzas. I was also a receptionist for a while. I did all kinds of stuff, and most of the office jobs I had was because I was bilingual, and it's
Pat says that's heavy and unbalanced. You are exactly right. It's very easy with a wheelbarrow full of mud to get it off balance, and I've dumped more than my share. And trust me, if the boss sees you dump a wheelbarrow full of mud, because it's useless after that, it just stays there. That's what happens. They're not happy about that. So, yeah.
I remember I had a friend when I was working for, when I was delivering pizzas for Pizza Hut. She goes, I'm looking for a job. Do you have any advice? I said, yes. Keep in mind your most favorite fast food that you like to eat and don't apply to work there.
Bandsman, no, I was not ever a stunt man. All my hold my beer moments were by accident and because I'm a redneck.
Redneck's the original stuntman.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. But everywhere I went, I knew I had to start at the bottom
Yeah.
No matter what I did before, go into a new job, you start right back at the bottom,
Yeah.
and always kept my eyes open to move up, you
Hmm.
know, and that's just the way that it is. I mean, at the job I'm doing now, I've only been at it a couple of months, and my boss has already been talking to me about, hey, if you ever want to get into management, let me know. I'll hook you up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to do that. That's a lot of headaches in being management. And
Mhm.
I've been management a lot in my career. In fact, most of my adult life I've spent in middle management. But I'm just at this point in my life, I'm not sure that I'm up for that headache.
Right.
uh, yeah. uh, Cannibal Caretaker says, I'm not able to work. Thankfully, I finally got on disability because I'm about as mentally stable as someone who crosses the Clintons. Yeah, I get you. For long, all of you are aware, I was trying to get on disability and couldn't get it. But thankfully, the surgery I had fixed me enough that I was able to go back to work, at least part time. And that's why I'm working part time. I was disabled for more than 10 years. So I'm in really poor shape physically. So yeah, baby steps. Baby steps. Oh God, as tired and as sore as I am, as long as it takes me to recover after a shift now, I can't imagine working full time in my shape.
Yeah.
It just I no, it just wouldn't. Uh B Junkie says, you want to break a kid's brain, tell them they will work for free before making any real money. Yeah, yeah.
In
That would do it.
turn.
Uh,
I did that with my mom. My first receptionist position was being a receptionist. My mom's real estate management company. She was running out of her basement. My job was to answer the phones when she was in the field and answer any questions that they had about the rental properties that she was managing. And it was funny because she was doing that before she broke away from the office she was working out of, and the owner of the office had a bad habit of putting people on duty and forwarding phones to their houses without telling them. And I was 12 at the time, so you can just imagine. He didn't tell mom that it was her turn, just had all the calls forwarded to our house. So mom didn't have time to warn us that we were going to be getting business calls in the house. So the phone rings. My happy little 12-year-old butt goes, "Hello? Who's this?"
yeah.
So the next thing we know, he's calling. My dad answers the phone, and apparently he said the biggest no to my dad. And I found out later that her boss had told my dad that I had no business answering the phone because I couldn't be professional. And my dad said, "You have no business telling me who the hell can answer the phone in my house until you pay my mortgage and my lights."
Yeah. Yep. Dark Law says, but you sure sound happy about the work. I am. I am. For those that have never been in that position, being housebound is not fun.
Mm-mm.
It's not fun. It gives me a chance to get away from the house, even if it's to work. But it makes a difference. And I feel better actually making a paycheck, you know. I feel better about myself, and yeah, I'm happy to work. It doesn't mean I'm happy to go in every time I got a shift,
No.
but I was not wanting to do this weekend. It was my turn. I was, it was my turn to work the weekend, and me and the other new girl work. We rotate weekends. And this last weekend I worked Saturday and Sunday, and this next weekend I'm off because she'll work it. But I wasn't looking forward to it because it's a little rough. Saturdays, I have to go in at 1 o'clock, and we close at 8. We're open later on Saturday, and which means I don't get out of there till at least quarter after 8 because it takes that long for me to count down my drawer and print off the paperwork that you have to go with it and all that, and print off the lottery paperwork and all this crap you got to do after the door's actually closed.
Mm-hmm. I know that too well.
People that haven't done retail don't know that just because you close the door don't mean you get to go home. You got work to do yet.
Mm-hmm.
But so I get home about 20 after 8, something like that, because I just live literally about 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
And but I have to be right back in there at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, because our hours are different on Sunday. We're open 10 till 5.
Yeah.
And I have to actually open. And it cracks me up. Every Sunday I've ever worked, I pull up out front, and of course, one of the assistant managers are there to get everything in order, but they're only there for a couple hours,
Yeah.
you know. And on Sunday, as opposed to any other day, the door is locked, so I have to actually unlock the door and then lock it back behind me when I get there, because the assistant manager is already there doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll show up, and there'll be 2, 3, 4 people sitting outside waiting for it to open. I'm like, you must really be chosen for a cigarette or for that lottery ticket to be sitting out here on a Sunday morning,
Right.
waiting on our doors to open. Are you kidding me? Of course, I'm the kind, I hate showing up to work just in time to go to work. I hate
Mhm.
that. Never have liked it. So I've always been the guy that shows up 20 minutes, 30 minutes even early.
Yeah.
Sit down, drink a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, maybe 2, to get my head into work mode before.
Yep.
I just hate running right in and getting started, because it
Yeah.
just drives me nuts. I don't like that.
I don't like it either, and I think I learned that from my dad, who liked to be way early for everything. And in one particular spot that I worked at, Party City, you literally had to be there 15, 20 minutes early, because corporate was always telling you to shuffle shit around. So you just had to get there that early just to walk around
Yeah.
the store and figure out what they moved where, so you didn't have to look at the customer and go, let's go see if we can find where that got moved together, shall we?
Yeah. I mean, where I work, they have rules. They don't want you to clock in before 10 minutes before your shift start.
Yeah.
They don't want you to. But I'm one of only 2 people that work there that actually will clock in 10 minutes before my shift start. you I just, I have my dad. It come from my dad. My dad was the kind of guy that was always seriously early. Now, if you all haven't heard the story, he was the pastor of our church. And my whole time growing up on Sundays, we would be at church 45 minutes to an hour before it started. So for half hour, 40 minutes, our family was the only ones in the building, just sitting there staring at the walls. Well, dad was busy getting prepared, but us kids and mom would just be sitting there going, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of person he was. His philosophy was, and he would actually say this, these are my dad's words verbatim: if you're just on time, you're late.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad lived by that. I remember one morning he called his work, because he was a sheet metal mechanic, for those of you guys that don't know, Eastern first and then Northwest. And he called one morning to say he was going to be late, and he hung up the phone. Mom said, are you actually going to be late, or are you just going to be there 10 minutes early instead of your standard 25?
Yeah.
my dad looked at my mom and went, shut up. My dad walked out the door.
Yeah. I just, that's my dad was always that way. He always went into his job early and done the same thing. And I inherited that from him, and I'm always early. I'll go in. I'll usually get there about 30 minutes early, which means 20 minutes before I'll clock in.
Yeah.
And I don't go behind the counter. I sit out. There's chairs outside the counter. I'll sit there and smoke a cigarette, because we do allow smoking in our facility. And I'll have a travel cup full of coffee with me, and I'll sip on that coffee and smoke cigarettes and talk to the people. One thing about a little shop like that is you get regulars, and you get regulars that will hang out in the shop.
Oh, yeah.
It's just got that feel about it, It almost kind of feels like the old head shops, but not quite, because there's always classic rock playing, in the store. and we do sell bongs and pipes and stuff like that. But a lot of our customers are older guys, my age, or around, and they just hang out and talk, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just sit there and talk with the regulars or talk with the assistant manager, and then when it's time to clock in, I'll go clock in. And of course, we're modern, got to clock in and out on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But clock in and then go count my drawer, and then I'm ready.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember when I started working for Party City. It was in one city before it was later on in another, and they hired. I always hire in bulk around holiday season because that's their Christmas. And the lady that they had told me that to train me, it was funny because she goes, "Okay, so this is what you do." She's all right. She goes, "Now you do it." And somebody came up to the counter, and I just flipped everything over. You can see the UPC codes. Took the scanner gun and went beep 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 beep. Bagged everything. Told the lady her total. Gave her change. Told her to have a nice day. She walked out, and my trainer went, "And I'm training you. Why?"
yeah, I was telling one of the assistant managers, I think it was Sunday, we were talking about. Well, everybody's aware, and I'm not going to spend. I know we spent one entire stream on talking about this, so I'm not going to do that now. But the whole it's been changed to 21, the legal age for smoking.
Yeah.
And we have instituted it. It is in effect. If you're not 21, you can't even be in my shop. You can't be there. Which I've only had to kick one person out. And it wasn't because they weren't 21. I'm pretty sure they were 21. But when I asked them, they didn't have ID.
Oh.
And if you ain't got ID, it's the same thing. You got to leave.
Mhm.
Sorry. Yeah. You're going to have to leave. But we were talking about the other new hire. She's been there 2 weeks longer than me because she's only 18. We were afraid she was going to lose her job. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we were discussing her. She does get to keep her job. But here's the thing. She's not allowed to smoke in the shop. Even though the rest of us can, she can't. She can't vape. And she cannot buy anything there.
Wow. Okay.
But she can sell it.
Okay.
And she can run you out if you're not 21. Yeah. It's this whole thing is stupid.
And
I've had a conversation with them, and I honestly believe this. I think there's a good chance this will get turned over.
yeah,
Sometime down the road.
I think so too. I mean, it's ridiculous. First of all, you passed this without any grandfather clause or anything into this. So pretty much you created a clusterfuck as soon as the law was passed.
Yep.
And now you have people, that are probably just frustrated at the whole thing. If they're not mad at the clerks, even though it sounds from time to time that they're taking it out on the clerks, they know it's the law and you guys are only doing what you're supposed to. But it's a major cluster F because this is just a stupid law. Period.
It is. I mean, suddenly, okay, you're legal, and then the next day, you're not legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really got pushed through really fast and kind of under the radar. By the time anything was really coming out about it and it was being talked about, I remember, after seeing it on Twitter, I was at work and was talking to one of our regional managers about it. And when I mentioned it to her at that time, and this was like a week before,
yeah,
she hadn't even heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
They were not informing the industry that well. So it kind of come at her in a hurry, and it was kind of under the radar, and it's just stupid. Look, you're old enough to vote at 18, so all these people that are 18 that no longer can buy cigarettes, what do you think that's going to do with their vote? And you can serve your country and die for it, but you can't buy cigarettes.
And you can't have it, and you still can't have an alcoholic drink.
And yes, in answer to those that asked the question, I cannot serve a service member who's under 21. Isn't that stupid?
It's really dumb.
It's just really stupid. But You know, I'm of the opinion, I feel like this will get overturned sometime down the road and they'll dial it back to 18.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's not that it's. I know you're making light of it with the diet cigarette. It's a lot of people thought that light meant less tar, less nicotine.
yeah, because
But
people are stupid. Because
because
people are stupid.
yeah, and it's just this is just you can't pass legislation to do what parents are refusing to do. And I'm sorry. All this is stemming from the whole vaping thing and all the kids vaping that know they're not supposed to be vaping because it's a new thing introduced into the quote unquote smoking thing that they feel they have to regulate. Now, if it has nicotine in it, yeah, to me, if it has nicotine in it, it should be regulated to some just 18. If you're not 18, you can't vape. Now, if you're one of these parents that thinks you're going to let your kid do everything because of some strange thing that happened to you while you were growing up, I'm sorry, get over that bullshit. Be a parent. Because you can't be your kid's best friend and parent effectively.
Yeah. Cannibal Caretaker says, what the heck did light even mean on cigarettes? You want the truth, what light means?
A lighter taste. That's about it.
It meant that it had holes above the filter.
Mm-hmm.
So you were sucking more air with the smoke.
Yep.
That was a light cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I understand that smoking is bad for you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But, you know, that's a decision you should be able to make for yourself when you're 18. You know, at 18, I believe you're old enough to make that decision on whether you want to do something that's bad for you or not. You know, and let's be honest. Most of us, I know maybe you were different. We talked about it before, but most of us that smoke or have smoked started long before we were 18. You know, yeah. It's not going to stop people from starting smoking. Oh. It's not. It's absolutely going to have zero effect.
Yeah. I mean, if people are bound and determined to start something that they're going to start before it's legal, then they're going to start it and it's not going to stop them. I mean, how many of us know people? And I mean, you know, I took growing up way before I was 21. My parents would give me sips of beer, sips of Kahlua, sips of mixed drinks, and all this shit because, you know, not because they were trying to be the cool parents, but because they knew that if they flat out told me I couldn't, I was going to find a way to.
Yeah.
So by the time it got to 21, I turned 21. It was no big deal. It's like, okay, now I can do it legally. But yeah, I had those friends that, you know, their parents, no matter what, they couldn't have beer. They couldn't even taste any alcoholic drinks or anything. So they'd go behind their parents' back, take 2 or 3 shots of vodka and figure they'd be safe as long as they filled the bottle back up with water.
You know, it's probably a shame to admit it, but I started smoking when I was 12. I'd steal them out of my dad's pack. Yeah. I was 12 years old. And I knew a lot of people, you know, by the time you're in high school, and, you know, every high school has that area where kids will sneak outside and try to smoke.
Yeah.
Or into the bathroom. And look at how many kids there are out there doing it. Yeah. They're not 18. Mm-mm. You know, so it's just not going to have any effect. It's not.
No.
Do you think those people that were 18 and now it's changed to 21 so they can't legally buy it for themselves, do you think they're just going to say, oh, well, I can't buy it anymore. Guess I quit?
No.
They're going to find somebody to buy it for them.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to change. It's not going to change the status quo. It's not. They're just going to, oh, are you guys going to the store? Yeah, if I gave you money, could you bring me back a pack of cigarettes? Because I can't buy them anymore. Sure, give us the money. We'll bring you back a pack. That's pretty much how it's going to work. And we know this. And the problem is, since I've worked, you know, in convenience stores and now you're working where you're working, yeah, as long as they do that and we don't see them do that, we can sell that person the cigarettes. However, if they're dumb enough to do the money exchange outside the window before they come in the store, then no go, because we can get in trouble for that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big sign on our front door that says buying cigarettes for someone underage is illegal and can cost you. You know, so yeah. But it's just not going to have any effect. But anyway, what got me on that, we were talking, about the 18-year-old, and now I forgot my point. Well, if it went so far off and left field with this that I forgot what my original point was. Isn't that terrible?
Right. We both ADD together. Let me see. Straight Sith Male says the moment you can join the armed forces, you should be able to smoke and drink. I agree.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I don't know what this magical thing is between 18 and 21, because the drinking age is 21 in my state as well.
Yeah, here too.
And I don't see how that 3 years is magical. I don't understand. But if you can go die for your country and give your life for your country, you should be able to make the decision to do those things as well.
Yeah, you should be able to have a beer and a smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're following what I consider a calling and not a job, because it's not, let's face it, going in the military isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And there have been people that have accused me of being disingenuous when I have actually thanked, military people for their service. And then the same people that are trying to call me disingenuous kind of look at the floor when I go, my dad's a Vietnam veteran. Tell me again how I'm not proud of military personnel. And they just kind of saunter off somewhere into a corner. I'm like, yeah. Tell me again. Mm-hmm. It just gets me. It's my mom and dad have had that complaint for years. You can fight and die for your country. You can vote at 18, but you can't get shit faced. That was his whole thing.
And cynical, I get what you're saying about the brain not fully forming and everything. Then they should make the age that you're able to sign up 25.
Mm-hmm.
Because my point is, if they allow you to make a life-altering and possibly life-ending decision by joining the armed forces, you should be able to smoke and drink.
Yep, I agree. And on that note, it seems like I'm the one pulling the blood wing this time, because I got to go to the bathroom.
And I haven't had to go yet.
Right? I'll be right back.
Yeah. But so how you doing, chat? Haven't talked to you a whole lot. I mean, I've been reacting, but talking to you. Oh, hold on a second. All talking to my wife. All the clocks are flashing because they turned off our power for about 10, 15 minutes. So just so you know. Okay. Wife just walked back in, and so I was filling her in. Owen Harmon says, weirdest thing ever is when people thank me for my service. I've served in the Foreign Legion. We weren't serving anyone. Well, yeah, that's kind of an odd duck, though. How hard is it to find a Ford Fairmont with no rust? In my area, probably not going to happen. I live in the Rust Belt, so everything rusts. Including me. Okay, that's what my wife says. Let's face it, most people's brains never fully develop. I know a lot of people's brains who didn't. Yeah, that's for sure. Jedi Ghost Bear says, to my mind, you reach the age of maturity, you're a full citizen. Full citizens should be able to do anything any other full citizen can do, regardless of age. You either are or you are not. Yeah. Shio says, so as I said earlier, half of our Navy servicemen are leaving soon in February. Pitchers and catchers report. Pat says, I got a $50 late Christmas gift from one of the docs at work. Hey, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Are you back?
Yep, I am back.
All right. And Cannibal Critic, if that's what you call flirting, sorry. Sorry. I did have something kind of yeah, I got it, Shio. I got it. I did get it. Owen Harmon says, Bloodmate tried to throw you a few dollars, but your YouTube doesn't seem to like this card. Awfully sorry. We'll sort you out next time. That's good. That's good. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yep.
Tax time's coming up anyway, so I'm sure my donations will be stepping up a little bit, like everybody else's. And I'm always a little, you guys know, I'm always a little embarrassed about taking donations anyway. So it's all good, man. It's all good. But I was at work. Just tell you a little funny story, a little off the subject that we were on, but kind of on it. I was at work the other day. I think this was Saturday evening. And I was somebody come in, and when they come in the door, I was kind of busy with something. I think I was messing with the lottery because I was having trouble with some of the lottery tickets not pulling out right.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Monkey. Sorry, just woke up. Can't join, but I'll be listening. Okay, that's cool. But I always send you a link. Show if you can. If not, don't. Anyway, it was one of those moments where I really didn't look up. I just seen somebody come in, and I always acknowledge you when you come in. Hey, I'll be with you in just a minute. How's it going?
Yep.
And I'm that way. Anybody comes in, whether I've met them or not, I talk to them like they're my best friend. I'll say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
That's just the way I am. But there was just a moment of silence after I told him I'd be with him in just a minute. And the person said, what is your last name? Well, with that, I looked up at the person, and they did look familiar, but I couldn't place it right away. And I told him what the last name was. And he goes, I thought so. He says, do you know who I am? And I'm like, you look familiar, bud, but my old man brain just ain't putting it together right now. And he goes, oh, come on. If you don't figure out who I am, I'm going to come back here and beat your butt.
Damn.
And I'm like, okay. And at that moment, it struck me. This dude was my cousin. I hadn't seen him in like 30 years, but he was my cousin. I'm like, oh, geez. Jimmy? He goes, yeah. I'm like, well, crap. We must have ended up talking for half an hour. And then he said, well, my boy's still out in the car. I'm like, really? We've been talking for 30 minutes.
Damn.
Catching up on stuff. But yeah, he was just on a side of the family that we all kind of lost track of each other, And yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And I said, well, come back and see. He goes, I'm in and out of here all the time. I just must not ever come in when you're on shift. And I said, well, obviously, we'll come back and see me. We'll talk some more. Yeah, he says, if you don't guess who I am, I'm going to beat your butt. But to be fair, the last time I seen him 30 years ago, he had blonde hair, and he's totally gray now. So
yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
My dad and my uncle Raymond, God rest my uncle's soul, used to joke because both of them were going bald. So they'd say hello, and then they'd spend the next 10 minutes arguing over who had more hair.
Yeah.
It was a thing. And the first time they did that, I had never seen that before because I'm usually off with my grandmother. I'm looking at my mom, and I'm like, are those two okay? She goes, oh, they're fine. They're just doing their who has more hair shit.
Well, it kind of made me feel a little bad because he said, oh, I knew who you were as soon as I walked in the door. But they tell me I haven't changed all that much in the last 20 to 30 years. I think they're lying, but, I don't have a lot of gray hair. So there's that,
Yeah.
And I do tend to look younger. I get so tickled at people, because I have to ask people their birthday.
Yeah.
The register makes you ask that. Even if I know they're old, that you could be obviously 80 years old, and I've got to ask you what your birthday is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get cracked up that the people say, "Oh, I was, blah 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 blah, 1967. I'm old," and I'm like, "I'm older than you," and they'll go, "Really? How old are you?" And I'll tell them, "Oh, you don't look it." I'm like, right. Okay.
I was like, I always in order to get a jab thrown in a little, every time I look in the mirror, if I see it and I say, damn, there's another gray hair. He went, uh-huh, another one, huh? Because he's got more gray than I do. I got maybe like 5 or 6 floating around. And you look at his hair, and one day he looked at me and goes, I got gray everywhere. Boy, if looks could kill, I would have dropped dead when I went, oh, all that gray makes you look distinguished, dear. Don't say that. That's what he said.
Oh, my dad never went fully gray until just a few years ago, and he's 80.
Yeah.
You know, he's pretty gray-headed now. Still got some darker hair mixed in there. It's not completely white, but yeah. Dark Law says, and your response should be, and that's why I have to ask you for your birthday. That's my excuse for asking people for their ID. Because I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I'm old and everybody looks young to me.
Yeah. It's like my mom would always sit there and she would dye her hair. And when my first couple of gray hairs came in, she goes, oh, somebody's going to be reaching for the box dye. I'm like, nope, this is my philosophy. If this silver hair comes in any way, kind of like grandmother's, I'm going to leave it because my grandmother, when her gray hair started coming in, it wasn't gray, it was silver. And it looked like it was professionally done. I'm like, yeah, if I can have my hair look like it's frosted like that, I am not reaching for box dye.
I had somebody ask me the other day, and I actually have run into, that's not the first person I've run into that I know. I've run into a couple of people that I went to high school with because this shop is in my same neighborhood. So, yeah. You know, I'm going to know some of the people that come in. And they actually asked me, have you ever dyed your hair? I'm like, no. I'm kind of proud of every gray hair I got, what few there are, because I earned them.
Yes.
So why would I want to cover them up?
Yeah.
And Lindsay, I'm the same way. My beard and mustache is going gray much faster than the hair on top of my head.
Yep. Same thing with Ronan's.
Yeah. I'm getting quite a pronounced gray streak. I get 2 gray streaks on each corner of my mouth down past my chin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is gray in my hair. It's just hard to see because my hair's kind of a brown. Used to be blonde, but it's not anymore. But yeah. Sean says, my mom says she earned all her gray hair. Yeah. If you've ever been a parent, you understand that.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah. So
my mom said her first round of gray was my fault, and her second round of gray was her grandchild's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, the grandkids can cause some gray too, believe it, you know, because you worry over them, and in that case, you don't have you don't with your grandkids, you don't have the influence that you have with your kids. So you're limited in what you can do for them and with them. But you know, anyway. But whew. What?
Kim and Wanda said hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, my wife wanted to tell me something. She dropped by where I worked to buy some cigarettes for J-Kid. She was on her way to where he's at, and she wanted to tell me that the couple of them that worked there, well, my manager is what it was, said hi. She must have went in there and introduced herself as my wife, because I don't think she's ever been in there with me there when, no, pretty sure she had. I tell her she can't come in because my wife is a candle nut.
Yeah.
Loves candles, and we have a big display of all kinds of scented candles in there. I'm like, nope, you can't come in there. You're banned.
I got a good laugh this morning on Twitter because you know how you have some of these girls that take pictures of themselves and then they put them up there on Twitter and they go, you see something you want? Well, there's this girl with a handle, Brooklyn, that did the same thing. Unfortunately, she's standing in front of a game case at Walmart. So I clicked on the thread and most of the responses were, yeah, that game behind you. Could you scoot over? There's a couple of games I want.
I seen that same tweet, and that was the first thing I thought when I seen it. Well, the first thing I thought is, sorry, girly girl, but you're not exactly my body type. And then the other thing was, you need to move out of the way so I can see those games behind you.
Right?
Like, can you move?
Yeah. Pretty much everybody. I'm reading the thread, just cracking up laughing because everybody else is like, "Yeah, we need the games behind you." Somebody literally quote tweeted her just a little bit ago and went, "No, really, go pose in front of the Nintendo games and ask again."
Yeah. Can you move? I can't see all the games there. Can I
Yeah.
move to the side? RJ says, lucky I won't be gray for a long time. Well, you say that, and that may be true. But I had a cousin, she turned completely gray before she even finished high school.
Yeah.
It happens to some people. Did Pincalo says, did I hear about the Instagrammer that got booted for selling nudes to benefit the Oz fires? No, I hadn't heard about that. I'm not surprised. But no, I hadn't heard about that.
Me either. Now there's a girl on Twitter doing the same thing, but she DMs the nudes if they provide proof that that they actually donated. And as of yesterday, she raised over $700,000. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if the same girl or not. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do that and it's raising money, then it's more power to you.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if that's what you want to do, sure.
I mean, if you're using your assets.
Well, and Monkey talked about this on one of his streams here shortly the other day, I think it was, about how, back when he and I first started in YouTube, used to get people complaining about because a girl would start in this same quote unquote genre and would grow faster, would just explode. And they would complain about it. And I'm like, if I was a girl and I had assets that people want to look at, don't think I wouldn't use them.
I don't feel the need to. I think that's what makes me different. It's like I don't feel the need to. I want people to know me and subscribe to me, and and for lack of a better word, consume my content because they like my personality and what I have to say, and not the personality that's below my neck and needs to be supported by a bra.
Yeah.
But if that gets you views, well, you do you, boo. I'll be over in my corner doing me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm probably not someone that people really want to see. It won't have that. It won't have that effect on you. Put it that way. I don't think there's going to be very many people looking at me and like, oh my gosh, I want some of that. Because trust me, I don't even say that to myself in the mirror. Pincalo sent it to my DMs. Okay, I'll try to trip over there and take a look at it. But you know me, it's hard for me to do more than one thing at a time. So we'll see how this comes out. Instagram deactivates. Okay, I'll go ahead and read this article. Instagram has deactivated the account of an American model after she raised more than $700,000. That's a lot of moolah.
I think that's the same girl.
She raised more than $700,000 for victims of the Australian brush fires by selling naked snapshots of herself. On January 3rd, 20-year-old model influencer Kaylin Ward, who is known online as the Naked Philanthropist.
Yep, same girl.
Stated on social media that she will send nudes of herself to every person who donated at least $10 to any fundraiser to help the ongoing relief for the brush fires down under. Among the organizations listed included Australian Red Cross, Salvation Army, Australian Lions Foundation, and WWF. That's not the wrestling. I think that's the World Wildlife Fund, Australia, to name a few. According to the Daily Mail, Ward wanted to pitch in after seeing the devastation the fires have caused in Australia. She thought her skin-bearing pictures would be the best and likely fastest way to raise funds. The Daily Mail reported Ward received hundreds of messages on Instagram and Twitter from people with receipts to show their donations. Ward's post went viral, which led to Instagram deactivating her account. She subsequently started a second account, but that was also later shut down. Ward vented her frustration via Twitter. My IG got deactivated. My family disowned me, and the guy I like won't talk to at all because of that tweet. But F it, save the koalas, she wrote.
Yeah.
Despite her banishment from Instagram, Ward raised $700,000 for her causes. And that's pretty much the end of it. Well, you know, whether you agree with her methodology or not, she raised a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, she did it. She did it for good. She wasn't doing it to be like, most of these other girls out there. Send me money, and I'll say, I'll tell you that I love you. Those. She wasn't doing that. She was actually doing it for a cause. So that's bogus.
Oh, hey, Mama Minnie. Hey, baby. I'm on my new laptop. Well, new to me.
Right.
New to me. Yeah, because the other one took a big fat dump. Yeah. I wonder why. I don't wonder why. I'm not surprised the Instagram would do something like that, because these social media sites are all very left-leaning, even if they claim they're not.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious sometimes. But yeah, Sith, we've seen that that there were a bunch of people arrested for Australia for starting fires. Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Your turn, old man. Start the Instagram pics. Nobody wants to see naked pictures of me. Not even me. I'm at that time in my life where if I'm naked because I've just got out of the shower or whatever, and I'm looking in the mirror, I try to position myself so I can only see part of me. Nobody wants to see me in the all together. Trust me on that. Yeah, Cryptic, you crazy. He is, but I love Cryptic. He's my buddy. Sean DW says, need to save up for my retirement plan. A shotgun. Yeah. Just some retirement plan. I hope to retire in 5 years. I could retire early. I could retire now. I actually got information from the Social Security sent me. I think they're desperate for getting people to get their payouts so that they don't lose money. But saying, oh, you can retire now, but it's at a lesser amount. I don't get as much. So, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold out till 65 so I get the full, or is it 64 and a half? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. They always put that half in there somewhere for some reason.
Yeah. So I get anyway, I'm going to wait until I get the full amount. I paid into that Social Security thing my entire life, and I've been working for nearly 50 years, So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
They casted another part in the Harry Potter Goes Batman movie.
Oh.
Sorry, that's what I'm calling it. Yes. Will Ferrell has been cast as Penguin.
Will Ferrell as Penguin. Now, I like Will Ferrell, but I'm having a little difficulty seeing him as Penguin.
You too? Because I can't either. I'm sitting here going, how did they make this connection? Because I don't see it. So far in this cast of characters, so far they're not saying that it is an official reboot, that it's a standalone movie, because I found this article off IGN. So far the cast includes Pattinson, obviously, as Batman and Wayne, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano, who I've never heard of, is playing Riddler, and Ferrell is playing Penguin. And we have somebody else who's playing Alfred. Yeah. Andy Serkis from The Force Awakens as Alfred Pennyworth. If any of you guys are still shaking your head as to who that is, he's also Penguin, the guy that did the motion capture for Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies. Andy Serkis.
First of all, Will Ferrell is way, way, way too tall.
Yeah.
The Penguin. And yeah, like Lindsay said, he would fit better as the Riddler. But even that, he's a little thicker than the Riddler, because the Riddler was always portrayed as being very, very, very thin.
Yeah. If you want to put this up there, I'll go through the pictures because they have the pictures in the side by sides.
Now, could he pull off the acting for it? Maybe. I don't know, but it's his look.
Yeah.
That's just throwing me off. It's not his acting chops. It's the look. That is a little odd to me. He certainly wouldn't have been my first pick for it.
Right. It's like, everybody was complaining about Pattinson being Bruce Wayne and Batman, but a lot of people that were comparing him and saying he couldn't do it were the same people that have only seen him in the Twilight idiocy, which is like wasted moments of anybody's life, whether you've read the book or watched the movies, in my opinion, because God. And then you're looking at Jeffrey Wright, who is a person of color from Westworld and Angels in America. They cast him as Commissioner Gordon. They also they do the Zoe Kravitz. They have her picture there, comparing her to Catwoman. They have, I've never seen Paul Dano, so I'm looking at his face going, okay, I can kind of see it, but I don't know the guy, so I don't know where. I haven't seen him act in anything else personally, so I don't know. I couldn't say. So yeah, it's and then you have first they have a side by side of, I guess that's the Penguin from the video games or something, I don't know, and then Will Ferrell on the left. But no, I mean, I liked DeVito's acting in the Penguin, as Penguin in the original Batman movie franchise. I did not like the makeup and how they depicted him, because it was god awful, in my opinion, of what Penguin looked like in the original Batman movies. With
they went a little overboard.
Yeah,
with it a little.
Yeah.
But the look was still kind of there with Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
But I agree with Lindsay that his, and yes, even Burgess Meredith were tough shoes to fill. And yes, I know Burgess Meredith's portrayal was in a Batman that was campy, and purposely so.
But it was still good.
But he just, in my mind, just killed it.
Yeah. And then I copy and pasted the name of the person who they cast as Alfred Pennyworth. The guy looks too rugged for Alfred to me. I mean, he looks like he's better suited to be coming out of a pub than wearing a suit and being Alfred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ronan posited that maybe they were going for Pennyworth when he was still in, as a secret agent or something. But
is it Colin Farrell or Will Ferrell, Manny?
There he goes. It is Colin.
Okay. See, I was thinking Will Ferrell.
Yeah. It's Colin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's one of those where I'd have to see.
Yeah.
But I really don't know, so I'm reserving judgment. And to me, because so far, and I did a blog post on this, I'm thanking the director and the writers for this, and I may get hate in the live chat, but I don't care. Finally, a standalone Batman movie or a reboot to the Batman franchise that doesn't have the Joker as the first villain.
Yeah.
It's not that I hate the Joker. It's that it's like, okay, we have a new Batman. Here's a new Joker. Here's a new Batman. Here's a new Joker. Can we just highlight something else for a change, please? If we're going to do this and have another Batman movie. So, yeah, I'm kind of happy that it looks like there isn't going to be a Joker in this one, because I like to see Batman's more detective, and puzzle solving side.
Well, he always was, at least in the comic books, portrayed as the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
That was his tagline,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was I mean, he was the world greatest detective, but then you constantly had him going up against. To me, he has, in my opinion, and Ronan kind of argued with me for a little bit here. When you compare him with a lot of the other comic book heroes, to me, in my personal opinion, he's got one of the best rogues galleries out there because of, the different things that the villains can do. Because you've got Two-Face that can work around the law because he used to be a district attorney, so he knows how the law works, how law enforcement works, and he knows how to work that to his advantage. And then you've got the Riddler, who challenges him cerebrally with the riddles and the puzzles and things. You've got Penguin, he knows how to do it above the law, work outside the law, and within, mobsters and that world there. So I like the variety of the villains in the Batman world.
Yeah, and yes, Beth Castleman Joker was the first Batman villain, way back when.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could. Now, yeah, he had a pretty good rogues gallery. The main ones, the big names like Penguin and Joker and Riddler and Catwoman and all of that.
Yeah.
But he, over the years in the comic books, there were some pretty lame ones that would pop up once in a while too.
Yeah. I mean, the original Staples was really good.
But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, now it's my turn.
Yep.
I made it as far as I could, but I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. So talk to the chat or whatever you can do. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
The Batman will be a noir. I mean, that's the feel that I'm getting, since it's going to be. It looks like they're going to have the Penguin. They're going to have Penguin, Riddler, and they're going to have Catwoman in the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how the writing in that movie unfolds, how they're going to do the Catwoman in the movie, how they're going to work Penguin and the Riddler, because to my recollection, the Riddler and Penguin always worked well together. They always played well together, and they always gave Batman, the most trouble when they got together to really, wreck stuff. So, I know the Joker was the first Batman villain, Beth, but I just got tired of seeing him. I don't know. I'd have to see this one to make one, but so far, I want them to have Damian Wayne. Yeah. I'd like to know Catwoman. Me too, because they haven't released. I haven't found any pictures, so I'm going to have to go digging and see if I can find some Reddit threads on this movie to see if there's any leaked pictures. Because I would like to know what catsuit woman they're using. I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what suit they're doing for her and how they're going to present the Riddler and Penguin. So, because I like the Joker for a little bit of chaos and stuff. I like the Joker. Okay, the Joker is, but I always liked watching Batman's detective side more than I liked watching his "I'm gonna kick your butt" side. Because that side of him, the detective side of him, isn't played as much as the action side. And in a lot of ways I can understand why, because watching an hour and a half of somebody try to figure out all kinds of puzzles and riddles, especially nowadays, to a lot of people, not all people, to the younger generation, is not as exciting as, watching him run around, kick people's butts. Oh, I know. My favorite, and see, every time I say this, I start an argument. My favorite Joker of all the Jokers, it can't be 60s Joker aside, because he was good, was Jack Nicholson, because it showed Joker's psychotic side and his genius side, and the fact that he walked that line daily.
Well, don't get me wrong. I love Nicholson's portrayal. My preference is toward Heath Ledger, though, because even though he didn't exactly match the look because he was wearing makeup, and we all know that Joker actually had a white face and green hair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The psychosis and the interaction between him and the Batman, because that whole "you made me, I made you, we need each other" thing was there.
Yeah.
Is why I loved his portrayal.
Mhm.
I really did. But Jack Nicholson's was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do have a preference for Ledger.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, and I like Ledger. I mean, he did a good portrayal of the more chaotic side of the Joker. And he even called himself an agent of chaos in the movie, if I remember correctly. And it was good. It was a really good portrayal. The reason that I like Jack's more was because you saw his genius side and you saw that chaotic side, because it takes one heck of a level of genius to have an entire city too scared to even put on deodorant for fear that they're going to drop dead from a toxin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and he was, I did like, he was a little campier than Ledger, which the Joker could be, with all the little gags and all of that. So yeah, I did like Nicholson's portrayal, absolutely. And until Heath Ledger come along, I thought it was absolutely a great portrayal as far as the movies go.
Yeah.
And your boy Pat says Michael Keaton is the best Batman, hands down, and I have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember way back when, before the movie was made, and it was announced that Michael Keaton was going to play Bruce Wayne Batman. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of my friends were going, Beetlejuice is Batman?
Yeah, because up to that point, really all he had ever done was highly comedic roles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking slapstick comedy, kind of things. And I'm like, really? And then I seen the movie and I'm like, dude's got some chops.
Yeah.
He's got some chops.
Yeah, because he did the hardest thing, in my opinion, for an actor to do when they're portraying a superhero is to get the alter ego and the superhero down pat. Perfect. Because, it's one person essentially doing two different roles, because you have to be completely different when you're the hero as when you're yourself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to see that. And if you haven't seen Batman the Animated Series, you have to, because Hamill is, oh my God, Hamill's voice of Joker is just, it's great. It is.
Oh
superb.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely it was. And I was a grown person by that point with kids of my own, but I'd sit right there and watch them. That era.
Yeah.
Right there. What was that, in the 90s?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 90s.
Early 90s.
Fox Kids.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit down as soon as it would start and watch all of them with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman, Animaniacs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just love Animaniacs. I watch them over and over even to this day. Love the Animaniacs.
Yeah.
And all of them, all the cartoons that they had, the X-Men.
Yeah.
It was a great time for good cartoons, especially on the Fox Kids.
Yeah. Well, what a lot of people don't know that didn't read the comic books is the original X-Men animated series that came out around that time was actually very close to the comic books.
Oh,
the people that created it wanted it to be like the comic books.
I was actually a person that I had followed the comic books up to that point, and so yeah, they were pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yep.
yeah, X-Men the animated. I can still remember that.
Yeah.
Na-na-na-na-na-na.
That started, I ran. Grown. Yep. That's that. A grown person. I'd be in my office, hear that theme song, and go, "Woo! Time to take a break."
Yeah, and you can
Oh,
still catch episodes of it, even on YouTube.
yeah.
And they still hold up well.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
do.
the animation of them wasn't the greatest animation, but you were able to overlook it because the storylines and the character development were just so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, they tried to do, in my opinion, they fell short here and there because they tried to do what they felt was comic book style animation in a cartoon.
Yeah.
And the comic books are huge, big, flashy, heroic. And when you try and put that in a cartoon, you have to be careful with how flashy because it sometimes that doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, in my opinion, and I haven't seen a lot of X-Men properties after that. The movies,
Yeah.
and which some I liked, some I didn't.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't the animation, and it wasn't so much the look of it, although it could look really good.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to go along with it because the storylines and the character development and the voice acting was just so good.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yep, Iron Man, Silver Surfer. It was called the Marvel Power Hour, which was actually 2 hours long. The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Silver Surfer, and Fantastic Four. Capped off by Spider-Man. So it was actually 2.5 hours worth of Marvel cartoons.
Yeah.
3 when you added in the X-Men, because holy crap. That was I remember introducing my kid to the whole Marvel Power Hour thing, and he would sit there in front of the TV and watch it with me.
It was a great time for good cartoons,
Mm-hmm.
and it was before a time before we got into this whole well, PC culture was there
Yeah.
and was already but it wasn't infiltrating, third and fourth wave uh, feminism and trans trenders and all of this stuff just hadn't infiltrated everything like it has now. And it
Yeah.
is just so hard nowadays to find a good show, let alone a cartoon.
Yeah, no kidding. Right now, it's just, to me, it's kind of bad when me in my mid to late, because I'm 46, uh, uh, is looking more toward anime instead of American animation, because there's a lot of good stories in anime now, and the animation is a whole lot better than what I'm seeing come out of Cartoon Network and all that stuff. And I still remember when they took out the little trailer for Tumblr Cat's Boar. I'm like, I'm never going to call that what they want me to call it, because you don't touch my Thundercats.
Oh,
Yeah.
J Kid owns the entire run of the original Thundercats on DVD.
Yeah.
Because that was his show.
Yeah.
When he was a kid, that was his show.
Yep. And I remember I used to have a DVD copy of the Transformers movie, and it had been over 10 years since I had seen the movie, and I popped the DVD into the player, and I got to the point in the movie where he literally says, "Why won't this damn thing open?" And I went, "Wait, let me rewind that. Did he actually cuss in the cartoon? Did I hear that right?"
Yeah. Cynical Lindsay says, "I'm sad we'll never get a proper Gambit movie." Gambit was always J Kid's favorite character. Mine was the one that played opposite him very often, and that was Rogue. That Rogue, because she was just a bamf, and and her accent,
right? That Southern Belle accent.
Oh, Lord, I just melt into a puddle when I hear it.
Yeah, no. Pat, you spelled she, him, and the Princesses of Shippery wrong. It's she, him, and the Princesses of Shippery. Yeah. Thundercats, the original Voltron. I used to watch that with my mom. Never actually saw. I got to go back and watch Gundam. Never saw that. I've never seen that. Which now I'm going to get what in the live chat. I'm waiting on it.
Now that Mama Minnie has said that, I will admit to something. Way back in that day, I wouldn't let my kids watch Power Rangers because they just annoyed me far too much. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Not watching it. Nope. Sorry. I'm pretty sure they watched them anyway at other people's houses and stuff, but it wasn't coming on my TV because it was far too annoying.
Yeah.
As an adult.
Yeah. I had to sit there and sit and watch with my kid, and it was okay to a point, and I did it for just in case he came up to me and told me that he wanted something for Christmas. Even though I did like enjoy the first season, after that it was like, you guys are getting ridiculous with this crap. I'm just gonna drop off after the ninjas. I was done. But who remembers Mortal Kombat? I don't remember. The Transformers, the original Transformers, I loved. Beast Wars was good. And they came after.
Now, before y'all start jumping on me because of that, I did, and Mama Minnie will back me up on this. I sat down quite often and enjoyed a lot of shows with my kids. I already mentioned the Fox cartoons like X-Men and Batman and Animaniacs and all that stuff, but also there was stuff on the PBS stations like Wishbone and Ghost Rider. We would watch all those together, and I enjoyed them with them. So yeah, you'll excuse me if there was one or two shows there that I don't want to watch that. No. No. Random America says, you think you were annoyed I was working at Toys R Us during that initial toy shortage. Oh, you poor person.
Oh, you poor man.
Yeah. Keever Dam says Wishbone was cute. Wishbone was the bomb. I loved Wishbone, and I loved Ghost Rider. Both of them. They were great shows.
Yeah, we grew up. I grew up during the time where there were some good shows, and then there was the Mr. T cartoon, which I wish I could forget. It's forever burned into my retinas. That was corny. Even when I was a kid, it was corny. I can't go back and watch it now. And then the first video I ever did on my Geek channel, which was the one about Battle of the Planets, which I can't. When I was little, I did miss an episode. I tried to go back and watch it as an adult, and I'm like, oh God, the cringe.
but I'm gonna talk directly to Mama Minnie, my daughter, and she'll tell you it, and have you confirm for me, baby, that old Dad would sit down quite often and watch TV with you guys, quite a lot. So yeah. Love the Battle of the Planets. I don't remember Battle of the Planet. I do remember one called Thundar the Barbarian that I liked quite a bit.
Well, you may know Battle of the Planets by its other name, which is called G-Force.
I've heard of it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, that was I think it was my debut video on my Geek channel was, reminding people of what the show was about, what I liked about it and stuff. And the way I edited the video, it was like I was talking to Seven Zark 7, and everybody that has watched Battle of the Planets knows who that is. And I compared it to the Japanese cartoon and all that stuff. So I did all of that on that one, my first video.
Yeah, cynical. I was never a real Beavis and Butthead fan. They were okay, but yeah, I did love me some Ren and Stimpy. Happy, happy, joy, joy.
Captain Planet. Yeah, I watched that. Wish I hadn't.
Yeah, wish you hadn't.
It's one of those where in the moment it seemed like a good idea to do, but I can't go back and watch those episodes because cringe.
Yeah.
It's amazing how your taste changed from when you're little to when you're grown up, and you go from really loving something to going, oh, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah. Of course, my all-time favorite cartoon of all time, hands down, and I wished I could find the entire run of it uncut, because you just can't, because political correctness, they've cut it up.
Oh no.
You have to go back a bit further than the 90s to the 60s, and that's the original Johnny Quest. Love that show, and still do to this day. I found an episode of that online and played it for my grandsons once, and they were enthralled.
My mom introduced the original to me way back in the early 80s. She told me she saw that when she was in the States.
Yep.
And we watched it from beginning to end, because if I remember correctly, the original Cartoon Network used to do full runs of those shows before they started making their own cartoons. So we got to see the whole thing, and oh my God, I loved it.
I would watch it to this day, but it's hard to find an uncut copy, because the politically correct squad have got to it, and because of mostly Haji, it's racist.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up.
Right. Forget the fact that it actually had a pretty good story.
Yeah. And cynical. I introduced my grandkids to the Three Stooges too, and they loved it. Yep. They loved it. Well, the boys did, because let's be honest, the Three Stooges typically appealed to the little boys more than the little girls. Some little girls. I'm not saying all, but yeah.
I didn't like Johnny Bravo, RJ, but my kid got me stuck on Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
I like Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Mama Minnie said she didn't, but I did. I liked it.
Oh God, Hong Kong Phooey.
Oh, Scatman Carruthers. Yeah, that's who voiced it. Scatman Carruthers. Oh my gosh, yes. We're talking back there in the late 70s, like Captain Caveman. Cynical Lindsay Elkabong. Yeah, that was Quick Draw McGraw.
Yeah, and Inspector Gadget.
Oh, I watched a heck of a lot of Inspector Gadget with my kids. Loved that show. And Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yep.
Watched a lot of that with the kids. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, Go Gadget Mobile. Yeah. Yeah. I love cartoons. I'm one of them people. I just love cartoons even to this day. It's just I haven't found any new ones that fit my bill. I'm just not an anime person.
I get that. It's not for everybody.
I've tried it, didn't like it. I've tried it on more than one occasion. And I mentioned it on this stream here a few months back. I found one. Okay, maybe I like this. It was Godzilla. Yeah, I didn't like it because I love Godzilla.
Yeah.
I especially love the old Godzilla movies. As campy and cheesy as they were, I still love them.
You lived for the guy in the rubber Godzilla suit. Let's face it, okay? Because when we did the movies, when we did that one Godzilla movie our way, it's like, okay, this isn't Godzilla. It's an overblown, Tyrannosaurus Rex on steroids. Where's my guy in the rubber suit?
Yeah. Yeah. Sean, I'm probably one of the few people around here that were probably old enough to remember the first run of the Herculoids. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. The Herculoids. Street Sharks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and Pat says, I live for anime. When I start live streaming, there'll be anime talk, lots of it. And yeah, good on you. And I'm not against people that do like it. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
When Mama Minnie was still living here and her kids would be talking anime and they get excited and want to tell Papa about it. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh yeah. Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous.
Captain Caveman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we're overlooking the cartoon that made everybody look at Disney and go, oh shit, Disney went dark. Gargoyles.
Oh, I loved Gargoyles. Talk about a show that had superb voice acting.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Gargoyles was
think,
great. Great.
the
It ended poorly. I hated when it ended, and it ended poorly. But I loved the run of the show and wished it
yeah.
went on longer than it did.
Oh yeah, me too. Because Gargoyles is like when it first came out, I had to do a double check because I'm like, Disney did this. Disney did this because they took that out in the same time as Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and all those really lighthearted things. And then here's Gargoyles,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, is this Disney?
And the storylines were good. The whole concept was really intriguing,
Yes,
and the voice acting was just top notch.
yes, it was.
And again, this is in an area when I'm already an adult watching these cartoons with my children.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to appreciate that.
Yeah.
But oh god, I could talk cartoons all the day. I even love the old Rocky and Bullwinkle. Now that
Yeah.
there is a cartoon series that
They
you
could.
appreciate more as you become an adult, because
Yeah.
you watch it again as an adult and you go, wow, that adult joke went right over my head as a kid.
Right. They couldn't play that now though because of Moose and Squirrel.
Yeah. Rocky and Bullwinkle had so much adult humor in it that just went straight over your head as a kid. You didn't even notice.
Hey, Garfield rocks. Garfield is like the best tabby cat on TV. Thank you.
Yes, Garfield is my man. I have Garfield everything. I have stuffed Garfield. I have Garfield coloring books. I have Garfield books. And if you think that's being a pansy or something, then I'll fight you. Garfield's the man.
Yeah, Garfield
or
rocks.
the cat or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love me some Garfield.
I like Garfield because Garfield likes Italian and he loves his coffee. See?
I like him because he's a smart aleck.
Yes, me too.
He's an
yeah.
absolute smart aleck. She had to get. What's the matter? You don't like Garfield because she's a cat?
No, I think she heard something and ran off into the other room barking.
But I love Garfield for the same reason I love old school Bugs Bunny, who is the original smart aleck.
Yes, the original smart aleck. Fraggle Rock, yes, Fraggle Rock.
Oh my gosh, Lamb Chops. This is a song that never ends.
Oh God, yeah, that freaking earworm that gets stuck in there forever.
Dark Isle, if I had a pair of Garfield onesies, I would absolutely wear them. Not ashamed of it.
Nope.
If it's got Garfield on it, I'm all about it. Send it to me. Give it to me. I love it.
Woody Woodpecker. Yeah. What?
Not the Mama Dinosaurs. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. That was a great series.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that was a saying around our house while it was on the air. Our kids would go around all the time saying, not the mama, not the mama. And they'd talk to me. It says, you're not the mama. You're right. I'm not.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was, gone are the days of really good cartoons. Now they have to make everything PC. And I'm sorry, not everything needs to be PC.
No. Cynical Lindsay says she actually found a Lamb Chop sock puppet. It made me super nostalgic. Love that show. When you mentioned sock puppet, it actually, for some reason, reminded me of one of the original popular sock puppets, Cecil and Beanie. Now, you got to be really old to know that one.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't know that one. That was not familiar.
Look it up sometimes. Cecil and Beanie. Oh, my gosh. Beanie was a little boy and Cecil was a sea monster that hung out with a sea serpent that hung out with him. Yeah. Jim Beam says, darn, I'm old. Join the crowd, dude. Join the crowd. Join the crowd. Yeah. Cecil and Beanie actually started out as a puppet show. An old school type puppet show with the behind the where the person would be behind the little stand with the curtains on each side, and and it morphed into a cartoon a little bit later on. Not sure if I should be shocked or not, but Garfield onesies exist and some are darn good. I'm gonna have to get me some.
Mhm.
No ifs, ands, buts about it. Mama Minnie, my birthday's coming up in a couple of months. There you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Garfield onesie, and I wouldn't mind a Winnie the Pooh onesie because I like my Winnie the Pooh.
Bands my ass, Yakko, Wacko, or Dot. Oh boy, that's tough because they were all good in their own way.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
I always had a soft spot for Wacko.
That whole show was double entendres and adult humor, which was great.
Yeah. I'm sure you remember the episode Fingerprints.
Yes. Yes.
Talk about that whole episode was nothing but double entendres.
Mm-hmm.
And they got away with a lot.
Yes, they did.
I mean, right in their beginning, they got Bill Clinton playing the sax,
right.
and it just that show was off the wall and irreverent, and I loved it.
Me too.
And I've seen the guy since on videos that voiced Yakko.
Yeah.
And to this day, he can still do the country song, an updated version because they've changed since then
Yeah.
of the country song to this date from memory
Yeah.
in Yakko's voice.
Wow.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the country song, go back and watch some old episode. I know it's got to be on YouTube somewhere.
Yakko sings the countries. I think if you do a search for that,
Yeah.
that particular clip will come up.
Yep. Absolutely great. What time is it? Since my clocks are all flashing, I have to.
It is 3:43, sir.
Oh, so, well, which would be 4:43 my time. Yep, 4:43. So it's about that time. I think we started just about, according to my timer on StreamYards, we've got about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
So this is the part where I say thank you, chat. Man, it just feels like ever, since I have talked to you guys. I know it hasn't. It's only been a week. But I'll make up for it this week because, like I said, looking at my schedule, it looks like I should have a full week of streams. Should be able to stream 2 more times this week. So I'm thankful for that. And again, thank you, Hammer. If you listen to this somewhere, I know he's not out in the chat, but if you do listen to this, I appreciate you, bud. You're a lifesaver, a channel saver. But thank you to everybody that come out. Thank you for your likes and your shares and your views and those that made the donations and attempted to make donations and all that stuff. I sure appreciate you. You got to know that. Thank you for coming on, Maddie. Anything you want to shout out?
Well, there's a new video that was up this morning because I saw a particular article that tweaked my eye about the only thing lacking in Little Women is little men. And I'm like, okay, I'm responding to that. And then there's my newest blog post, which also came out today.
And yes, also check out your boy's Pat link there of his last video. Absolutely. As for me, I do plan on streaming Thursday. I do plan on streaming Saturday, unless something comes up. There will be no Redneck. Redneck Trek this week, only because I want to do some testing on how the video recording with a different recorder and all that and a different computer. So I don't know how it's going to play the game, and how it's going to look. So I want to do a little testing of that before I actually record an episode and send it out. So look for that, not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's been 2 hours, folks, or close enough for government work. And again, I appreciate everybody, but it's time to go home. Well, I guess you don't have to go home, but you can't be here, as they say at the bars. But till then, get out of my yard.